Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 13th February 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, before going into the newspaper analysis, I have a certain update with regards to the social media handles of Ganesh IAS Academy. Ganesh IAS Academy not only operates on YouTube channel but also in other social media accounts like Telegram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, as well as Snapchat. So where the current affair related updates as well as the competitive examination related updates will be posted regularly. So go and have a look into it. The link for the other social media handles description is given below in the description box. So go and have a look into it. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. So these are all the articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. Jail and bail under UPA. So what is the situation of jail as well as bail under UPA Act? So let's look into the linkage of the news with the examination. So under prelims, the news is related to Indian polity and governance constitution. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 2 polity through a subtopic called structure, organization, functioning of executive and judiciary. So this is how the news is being linked with examination. Okay, let's look into the details of the news. Bail is rule, jail is an exception. This proverb doesn't find any place in the UPA Act. Supreme Court has recently denied bail to Gurvinder Singh, who is accused in the Khalistan module case, and the bar for granting bail under UPA is higher when compared to the other ordinary criminal law. So let's discuss how the courts have interpreted the section 43D subclause 5 of the UPA Act, and also why do courts deny bail in most of the cases. So under section 43D subclause 5 of UPA Act, what it says is, notwithstanding anything contained in the code, no person accused of an offence under chapter 4 and 5 of this act shall be released on bail or on his own bond. So this is how the wordings have been formed under the subsection of the UPA Act. So what does it mean is, see, the law says that while relying only on the police version of reports, documents, the accused must show to the court that he is not an accused person, as said by the police report. So his sole authority or sole report which the accused should rely on is the police version only. So based on the police versions and fact, he or she should identify any malified or defunct within the report, and he need to inform to the court that he has been framed in this UPA Act. So the responsibility of proving that he or she is not an accused falls in the accused itself. The Act shifts the, as I said, onus on the accused. The cardinal principle of the person is innocent until proven guilty is appended under UPA Act, and the narrowing room for the bail. So 2019 Supreme Court bench ruled in Zahoor Ahmed Shah Watia versus NIA case. In short form, it is Watia versus NIA case. What it has ruled is that for granting bail under UPA Act, the courts must not examine the evidence but only have to accept the evidence that has been produced before it. The court also said once charges are framed, accused have to undertake an arduous task of satisfying the court that the accusation made on him is not true. So the sole burden of proving that he or she is not an accused falls on the accused itself. So the legal scholar, what they are saying is that the lawyer of an accused in the UPA case arguing for the bail would be like participating in the swimming competition with both arms are tied. So this is what the proverb some legal scholars are giving. And post Watali ruling, that is the post ruling, what are all the sequence of events that has taken place is, it closed the windows for the trial courts to look into the prosecution or the reasonableness of the prosecution. If the prosecution case is flimsy or some other thing which has certain defects in it, means the court could not question it. It raises concerns on the liberty of the individual. This is what the post case. These are all the situations that has arisen post the Watali ruling. And the Delhi High Court has recently granted bail to 3 student activists who have been participated in the anti-CAA protest. The court, what it said is that, see, specific and individual charges must be made out by the prosecution and not the broad speculation and inferences. But this order have been, however, been stayed by Supreme Court. Similarly, Bombay High Court also granted bail to the right activist, simply referred to the material before it and found there is no specific linkage to the act by the activist. And similarly, in 2021, Supreme Court also granted bail to a person under UPA when the accused have undergone incarceration for the significant amount of time period. So these are all the different instances where the bail have been granted under UPA Act by the different high courts as well as the Supreme Courts. And Supreme Court in Vernon Gonsalves v. State of Maharashtra, in 2023, what it has said is that, see, it differed from the Watali judgment, and what it says that the prima facie test, what the Watali judgment has given does not apply. It would not satisfy the prima facie test unless there is at least surface analysis of the probative value of the evidence. So this is what the judgment. So basically, the judgment differed from the prima facie test or the procedure to be followed in the prima facie test that has been ordered by Watali. So the Gonsalves judgment differed from it. Both, as I said, Gonsalves as well as Watali differed from it, but both of them have the benches with same strength. So it will have, so if a particular bench is making any kind of judgment, means then that judgment will be overcome only by the bench which is having the more number of strengths when compared to the previous bench. But in this case, both the benches are having same amount of strength. So it is, so what is the future consequences or the future thing that is going to happen will be decided only in the future only, or by the larger bench of the Supreme Court, larger than the Gonsalves as well as Watali ruling. So this is what the thing is. What need to be studied further is, we should be aware of the recently passed Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita Act as well as Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Act and then Bharatiya Sakshya Bill. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. Secondly, we should also be aware of what is NIA and what is ED, their structure, function and objective and the ministry under which they are coming. Thirdly, we should also be aware of FERA and FEMAC and the difference between both of them. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Death in Wayanad. What is behind the Kerala's rising human-wildlife conflict? So there is alarming rise of human-wildlife conflict in Kerala. The reason for it and why it is happening and what is the initiative that has been done by the government, we will look into it. These are all that is the reason why it has appeared in the newspaper today. First, we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general issues on environmental ecology and biodiversity, climate change that doesn't require subject specialization. Similarly, under GS paper 3, through a major topic environment, through a subtopic called conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and environmental impact assessment. So this is how the news is related to examination. So let's look into the details of the news. The elephant in Wayanad has chased and trampled the man, who is the 47-year-old man, and it has led to the protest by the people for demanding action by the forest department to take a precautionary action to avoid the human-wildlife conflict in the future time period. And what is the Kerala's human-wildlife conflict is? What is the details involved in it is? See, of the state's total 14 districts, 13 have reported the increased incidence of wild animals conflicts, and mainly the wildlife like elephants, tigers, bison, wild boars are attacking are the major wild animals those that are attacking the humans. And in that, Wayanad, Kannur, Palakkad and Idukki are the worst hits, are the worst performing districts where the human wildlife conflicts are higher when compared to the other districts. And what is the government data for 2022-23 is saying is that 8,873 wild animal attack have taken place in the state, and in that 4,193 were by the elephant attack, and then remaining 1,524 were by wild boar, and 193 by tigers, and 244 by leopards, and 32 by bisons. So these are all the split up in the different wildlife human conflict. So a total of 98 deaths were reported in this period, 27 of which were coming from elephant attacks. And animals, especially the rampaging elephants, have also been responsible for the agricultural losses because of the damages they are doing for the crops. And between 2017 and 23, Kerala saw 20,957 incidents of crop losses due to raids by wild animals, in which 1,599 domesticated animals, mainly cattle, which is used for the dairy production, were also killed. So which is indirectly affecting the livelihoods of farmers. And Wayanad is the topmost worst performing district in terms of wildlife human conflict. So why it is? What is the reason for it? We will look into it. So forest cover of the Wayanad is 36.48%. In that, 41 people have been killed in elephant attacks, 7 other by the tiger over a decade. And the geographical location of the district also plays a main role into it. Why? Because the forests of the Wayanad are the part of greater forested area, that is the area comprising of Naharol Tiger Reserve, Bandipur Tiger Reserve, BR Tiger Reserve in Karnataka, and then Mudumalai Tiger Reserve and Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve in Tamil Nadu. So these are all the, so Wayanad area is coming under the convergence of these different types of national parks, which is present across different states like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. That is the reason why it is acting as an ecosystem. The Wayanad is rich in the ecosystem. That is the reason why more number of wild animals are seen there, which is in turn leading to more number of wildlife human conflicts. So what is the fall in, why there is a fall in quality of the Kerala forest is, see, according to 2018 study conducted by Wildlife Institute of India and then Periyar Tiger Conservation Foundation in Kerala, what they have found is that two major drivers for the human wildlife conflict in the state. The first is there is a decline in quality of habitat, forest habitat. So why there is a decline in quality of forest habitat? It is due to cultivation of alien species such as acacia, mangium as well as eucalyptus in the forest tracts, and they have been cultivated mainly for the commercial purpose, and nearly 30,000 hectares of this plant species were planted in the Wayanad, as not only in Wayanad, across the different districts in Kerala. Then that is the reason why there is a fall in the quality of the Kerala's forest, and because of this the animals are deprived of their natural habitat, and then these are the water guzzling species that they will be extracting more amount of waters, as a result of which they strain the natural water ecosystem, which in turn is affecting the wildlife that is living there. And the invasive species such as lantana camera and Micania and Sina have been planted by forest departments. They are also hinder the natural vegetation growth in the forest because of the competition for the scarcity of the resource that is present in the forest. And let's look into the agricultural practice. See, the study also find the second driver. What is the second driver that is responsible for the decline in quality of the forest in Kerala is the changing agriculture practice. That is, the changing agricultural practice is drawing more animals into the cropland because they do not have enough fodder in their habitat, which is being degraded by the commercial farming, the commercial purpose of the planting the invasive alien species, which we have seen in the previous slide. And owing to the poor returns and high wages in the agriculture, more and more farmland is being left unattended. Because of this unattending the farmland by the farmers, it makes them ideal target for the wildlife. Those who are looking for snack on the bananas and pineapples. That is the reason why they are raiding the crops or the farmlands, those are that is present besides the forest. And there is an increase in wildlife attacks. Increase in wildlife attacks have also pushed the humans or the farmers, those who are living besides the forest, to the to the land which is far away from the forest, as a result of which more amount of land have been unattended by the peoples or the farmers, which in turn acting as a ideal place for the wildlife to go and hunt for their fodders. And there is a crisis in Kerala's farm sectors. Because of lesser productivity and lower returns, such kind of thing is leading to the lower amount of reduction in the interest of farmers in the farming activities in the Kerala. That is the reason why they are right now shifting to animal husbandry. Because of this, and the animal husbandry requires maintaining of cattle, which in turn requires more amount of grazing land, which for the grazing purpose, more amount of forest land have also been converted into the grazing land, which in turn is reducing the habitat for the wildlife animals. And in Wayanad, the dairy sector have emerged as the lifeline for villages. These domesticated animals are the prime targets for the wildlife, and because of their reduction in the habitat and fragmentation in the habitat, they are coming into the mainland and they are hunting the domesticated animals, which is mostly of cattle, and they are acting as lifeline for the villages. And other human activities like waste disposal and fragmentation of animal habitat due to wanton construction and then increased human presence is also another reasons for the increased human wildlife conflicts. And what are all the steps taken by the government to address this issue is, see, schemes like construction of elephant proof trenches and animals proof stone walls and solar power electric fencing have been implemented in Kerala, but it hasn't yielded any kind of biggest or positive impact. But in 2022-23 time period, the state conducted maintenance of 158.4 kilometer of elephant proof trenches and constructed 42.6 kilometer of solar fencing and 237 meter of compound walls. To keep the animals in the forest, eco restoration programs have also been undertaken, but they haven't yielded any kind of fruits. The schemes of acquiring lands from the farmers to be converted into forest is also being implemented to increase the habitat for the wildlife, so that they will not be coming into the mainland. And then 15 rapid response teams have been established by the Kerala Forest Department to ensure that there is to prevent any kind of human wildlife conflict. So these are all the different steps being taken by Kerala government with regards to reducing the wildlife animals conflict. And what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of Project Tiger, Project Elephant, and what is the objective of it. Secondly, we should also be aware of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and then what is CITES and IUCN, what is the objective of it, and what are all the schedules that comes under it. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. A science for us. So the news is related to gender discrimination that is prevailing in the science field, and what are all the possible steps that can be taken to overcome it. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the details of the news. First we look into the linkage of the news with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general science. Similarly, under mains, it is related to achievements of Indians in science and tech, and indigenization of technology and developing new technology. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the details of the news. A panel representing India's science academics have launched a Swati portal, which is a database that they hope will someday include each and every woman in the each and every woman in science who are present in the country. And 2008 report by Indian National Science Academy, in short form it is INSA, they have presented evidence of discrimination in the workplace, not just on the basis of gender but also on the basis of caste. It is being prepared by the scientists as well as social scientists. So this is the first instance where the scientists as well as social scientists collaborated to form a report, and this report being supported by the government. And the post the publication of the report, initiatives that followed the report are Indian Academy of Science compounding Lilavat daughters, and then a national conference on featuring 1,000 women scientists were conducted, and both happened in 2008. And during the conference, the then Science and Tech Minister has announced different schemes or different programs to facilitate the increased participation of women in the science field. So what are the programs were introduced during the conferences? Flexible working hour for women, and in-house crèches, and work from home options, and research grants, and residential accommodation. But these schemes or programs haven't taken off in the subsequent years. But in 2010, another team of scientists and social scientists backed by IASC released another report that focused on why so many women scientists leave the academia. So what the report has identified is that it has several questionnaires both for men and women. Most men pinpointed they blamed the family as well as the socio-cultural factors are responsible for the women scientists leaving their science field, and women also agreed with it, but they also added another points like there is a lack of opportunities, and then there is a disabling organizational factors, that is lack of flexible work hours, and lack of inclusive environment for women in the scientific field are also responsible for the women leaving the academia. And most men also said that their female peers could also benefit from refresher course, fellowship, awareness as well as sensitization campaigns. This gender perspective in the policy will enable us to understand where the policy is coming from and what is the current policy is facing in terms of the lacunae. Along with this initiative, rules and laws to address unique challenges being faced by the women from multiple marginalities of the caste, transgenders as well as disabilities will be understood. The gender equity policies need to state that in its objective that the discrimination exists, and engage with the idea of placing some accountability in this system. So this is what the suggestion being put forward by the article or the writer of the article. And the newer initiatives like GATI, that is Gender Advancement for Transforming Institutes, and then the Draft Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2020 have adopted more progressive languages. For instance, they bring up transgender identities and gender neutral parental leave, because this policy involved an inclusive group, and this policy have been formed by inclusive group which comprises of cis and trans women scientists and sociologists. So that is the reason why most of the wordings or the provisions in the scheme are inclusive in nature, which is way forward, or which is forward moving policy when compared to the previous policy. And this February 11th is celebrated in worldwide as International Day for Girls and Women in Science. Swati, a portal for science which is being created for women, was also launched on that day, and by a panel consists of scientists from INSA, IASC and then National Academy of Scientists in India. And the Swati portal was first announced in International Women's Day, as I said, in 2021 previously, but it didn't take off. But for the past few weeks, the panels have been citing women in science to sign up for the Swati portal through the Google form. And the Swati form is inclusive of all non-male genders and doesn't discriminate between the people, those who have done PhDs, or the women, those who didn't those who haven't done the PhDs, and it acknowledges cis women who are not only marginalized gender but also the women those who are working in science field across various levels. So this is what the important details with regards to the science or the women in science field, and what is the problems they have been facing and the solution that has been brought out by the different governments over the period of time. So what need to be studied further is we should be aware of the science awards that has been presented in India, and science and technology policy, and science and tech schemes and programs being implemented in India. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. UPI been launched in Sri Lanka, Mauritius, which unites partners, says Prime Minister Modi. So let's look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it comes under GS paper 3, Indian economy, and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development, and employment. So this is how the news has been related with examination. So the India has launched UPI system in Sri Lanka and Mauritius with fintech connectivity. This will ensure not only the cross-border payment but also cross-border connectivity, and at the same time it will be available for Indians, those who are visiting, those who are traveling to Sri Lanka as well as Mauritius, as well as for the Mauritian national, those who are traveling to India. And this the extension of RuPay card service to Mauritius will enable the Mauritian banks to issue the cards on the RuPay mechanism in Mauritius, and it will be facilitating the RuPay card for settlement of both in India and Mauritius, which in turn will be reducing the transaction cost, and it will benefit tourism. Why? Because the people from Mauritius will be coming to India, they will have to buy only fewer hard currencies, and this can be there can be transaction in currency in real time at lower cost. That is, it will be reducing the transaction cost. That is what I have said. So these are all the benefits which arise from implementing the UPI in different countries. And what does this UPI say about? UPI is the digital and real-time payment system being developed by National Payment Corporation of India, and it is being regulated by RBI. And this National Payment Corporation of India is a statutory body which is created through an act, and it will enable, the UPI will enable a peer-to-peer interbank transaction, and it has safeguards like two-factor authentication. So these are all the things, the details related to UPI. Let's look into what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. We should be aware of what is BIMAP and what are all the different initiatives being undertaken by National Payment Corporation of India to ease the payment in Indian financial system. Secondly, we should also be aware of NEFT, IMPS, and then what is digital wallet and what is the difference between UPI and digital wallet. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. This we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's move on to the further to another part of the news, or another part of the session, that is the practice prelims question. So mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share, as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel, so that you will be receiving the daily current affairs session notification and also weekly environmental as well as science and tech current affairs notification in your YouTube channel. So thank you.